How's it going, Mr. Hamilton?
Going very well, thank you.
Awesome. I was doing a mic check. So you sound loud and clear.
Yeah, y'all are looking good this morning.
Thank you, sir.
What?
with the individual that has the icon listed as SD. Would you identify yourself for us? Star BOCE. And if you're speaking, you're on mute right now. I don't know what that is. How's it going, Dr. Kelly?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing well. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Didn't know who you were. Didn't know who
sorry.
you were by didn't know who you were by the name that's listed there. So thank you for showing us.
Yes, sir.
Good to see you.
Good to see you as well.
Yes, ma'am. We're gonna give it just another minute. We've got one that's trying to get on, so when we get them, we'll go ahead and start. So give us just a couple minutes. Good morning, Ms. Tappan. Are you there?
Good morning.
Thank you.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. I couldn't get in on the computer for some reason. It keeps kicking me out. I don't know if I have a bad connection or what, so I had to call.
Probably an update. All right, I think we've got everybody that's going to make it this morning, so appreciate your patience as we get started. We're waiting on a couple more to log in. We were kind of struggling to get to the quorum numbers, so we did make it. So I appreciate everybody making the effort. Obviously, with cold and flu and just everything running around, a couple people just had to be out. So we appreciate those y'all making time to join us this morning. We'll go ahead and call this meeting. I'm David Martin, Chair of the Commission on Teacher and Administrator Education, Certification, and Licensure and Development Commission, present at the Woolfolk State Office Building, room 145 at 501 Northwest Street, Jackson, Mississippi, 39204. This is a regular meeting of the Commission until today, Friday, November 4th, 2022, 10:04 a.m. Mississippi Code annotated 2541-5. Some Commission members present via teleconference. Notice of this meeting, date, time, place, purpose of the meeting, and identified the locations available to the public has been posted. An audio recording being made of this meeting, and minutes of the meeting will be recorded. In item 1, our call to order is being called to order at 10:04 a.m. Friday, November 4th, 2022. So we'll establish our quorum. I call the names of the commission members. Please state your name and location for this meeting. Be sure to introduce. Rebecca Gray.
Present, Jackson, Mississippi.
Thank you. William Hamilton.
Present, Oxford, Mississippi.
Thanks, sir. Mary Hill Taylor.
Present, Jackson, Mississippi.
Thank you. Dr. Teresa J. Rowe.
Present, Starkville, Mississippi.
Thank you. Dr. Burnell Kelly.
Present, Gulfport, Mississippi.
Dr. Teresa Poole.
Present, Hattiesburg, Mississippi.
Dr. Shelley Simmons.
Present, Gulfport.
Thank you. And Ms. Etta Taplin.
Present, Ruth, Mississippi.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, we do have a quorum. The commission is present. Location stated. Conducting the meeting through teleconference means. Move on to item 3, approval of minutes from our September 9th meeting. The meeting Commission Administrator, Education, Certification, Licensure, and Development. You entertain a motion for approval. Please identify yourself for the record.
Make a motion.
Motion for approval.
Thank you.
I'll
Move to second.
Second, Etta Taplin.
Any discussion? All right, approving those minutes. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Any opposed? Motion carries. Agenda item 4, approval of hearing subcommittee minutes. Do we have everybody here for this one? Got at least 2, that'll work. So only those that were present today are allowed to vote on that. Approval of the subcommittee minutes on September 9th, 2022. Members present that day were Mary Hill Taylor, Kim Hubbard, and Dr. Shelley Stimmons. Entertain a motion for approval. Please identify yourself for the record.
Make a motion to approve hearing on the title.
Thank you, ma'am. Need a second?
Second, Shelley Simmons.
Thank you, ma'am. Any discussion? All right. Those that were present today, those in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Thank you. That is both of us. Motion will carry. That's right. Item number 5, in subcommittee minutes from September 22nd. All of those present may vote. Present were Rebecca Gray, Dr. Lisa Poole, and Mr. Jamie Creel. Mr. Creel is out today. So Gray and Dr. Poole will be y'all. Entertain a motion for approval.
Motion to approve. Teresa Poole.
Thank you. Need a second?
Second, Rebecca Gray.
Ma'am. Any discussion? All right. All those in favor, please vote aye.
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 Thank you, ladies. Motion carries. Moving on to item 6, option of the agenda. Entertain a motion for approval. Please identify yourself for the record.
Motion to approve, William Hamilton.
Thank you, sir. Need a second?
Second, Teresa J. Rowe.
Thank you. All those in favor, please vote aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Agenda is approved. Move on to item number 7, in the updates, Dr. Corey Murphy. Dr. Murphy, and I think he has other updates to join. So we'll go ahead and let you take that.
Thank you, Chairman Martin. And actually, the update today is going to come from my colleagues in the Office of Teaching and Leading. First will be Dr. Deborah Burson providing an update with from her division, Education Preparation, and following her, Dr. Courtney Van Clee and Educator Workforce Retention Survey results. Dr. Burson.
Good morning, Chairman Martin, Dr. Murphy, members of the Commission. It's my pleasure today to come before you to bring the EPP Annual Performance Report for 2022. As you know, at the department, we always like to start our presentations looking at our vision and mission, which guide our work. Again, our vision to create this world-class educational system that gives students the knowledge and skills to be successful in college and the workforce, and of course, to flourish as parents and citizens in our communities. Our mission to our vision is to provide leadership through the development of policy and accountability systems so that all students are prepared to compete in the global community. And so our state board has put before us 6 very lofty goals to help us achieve our mission and vision. And as you can see, goal 4, I tend to put a gold star here, as this is our North Star. If you think about these 6 goals, It's going to take effective teachers and leaders to help us achieve them, and we know that we can do it. And today we're going to share some data on what our EdTech providers have produced for us in the 2021 school year. So why do we do this report each year? There's legislation and regulations that govern this work. We have Mississippi Educated Code 3732, which you're probably well familiar with, that governs what you do as a licensure commission, sharing on to the state board for their approval. Mississippi Code 37-101-29 actually stipulates or lays out the guidance for this report, and we also have federal regulation in the Higher Education Act as well as Title II that fits within that. And so this annual report is composed of the following measures, as you can see. First, we're going to dive into teacher candidate admitted. Again, this reporting cycle is for the year 2020 through 2021. This is lag year data. These data are presented in this manner in which Title II reports are required, and so that's why we do this, to keep consistent cohort data for our EPTs and for us as well. Looking at 2021, we saw 4,391 total candidates admitted to programs. 1,570 of these were traditional preparation candidates. 2,342 were admitted to alternate route programs. 479 were admitted to Teach Mississippi Institute. 65% of the candidates admitted during this period were admitted through test waiver. As we look at the trend data, you will see some extremely large increases in admitted candidates. This is a result of the State Board of Education's bold move to waive admittance and licensing test requirements due to COVID-19 and the closure of testing centers. Between 18 and 19 and 19 and 20, we experienced a 112% increase overall in admitted candidates. Looking specifically at alternate route, you will note a 454% increase. Overall, between 1920, 20, and 2021, we experienced a 21.3% increase in admitted candidates. And as you can see, this asterisk representing the COVID waiver periods. Test waivers greatly impacted the diversity of candidates admitted to programs. If we look back at 2018-19, 79% of candidates were white, with only 16% being African American. Above, you'll see the licenses representing 78% of all admitted candidates, with the remaining 22% being all other license types. Leading the field with social studies, then elementary education areas, English, language arts, PE, and biology. Next, we'll look at some completer data, those who completed programs. In 2021, 2,522 total candidates completed programs at our EPTs. 1,267 were traditionally prepared. 957 completed alternate route programs. 298 completed at Teach Mississippi Institute. 97%, or 1,229 traditional completers, completed using a COVID test waiver. As you'll note here, alternate route candidates are counted at admission, as testing for alternate route is a program entry requirement, and they are not prepared on the content because it's an entrance requirement, not an exit requirement. Between 2019 and 2021, we experienced a 57% increase in the number of candidates. Oops, let me get back. Sorry, guys. In the number of candidates who completed a program. Of the 2,521 completers, the state reported 2,193 initial licenses issued, which is approximately 87% of all completers. I believe one of the commissioners had a question about how many licenses, and so we wanted to be sure we shared that. This is the number that was recorded for Title II. Pre-COVID, for 2018-19, racial makeup was 80% white and 16% African American. And as you can see, our completer demographic has totally changed due to COVID waivers. And these are the 5 licenses that top the chart for completers during this reporting cycle. Next, we'll talk about our critical shortage subjects data. During this reporting period, we had 4,391 total candidates admitted. 765, or 17%, were admitted to a critical shortage area. Of the 765 admitted to critical shortage areas, 62% were alternate route and 20% TMI. Clearly, we can see that alternate route preparation impacts our critical shortage areas. And these are the admitted areas for critical shortage subjects. Now we'll look at the completers in critical shortage. We had 2,521 total completers. Of that, 529 completed in a critical shortage area, 21%. 9% of those were traditional preparation completers, 28% alternate route, and 50% Teaching Mississippi Institute completers. And these are the completed areas. Next, we'll look at some test data. As you know, test waivers were in effect during this reporting period. Therefore, most candidates were not required to take a licensure test. As noted, alternate route candidates testing is required prior to admission and therefore is not reflective of EPP preparation. Of the 1,267 traditional candidates that took a practice test, you can see that, let me keep in the wrong button. 9% took a practice test. 82% of that, which look at these ends are small, which 9 candidates passed the test. 75%, 85, N being 85, passed on first attempt. Looking at foundations of reading, 8% of traditional candidates of 64 out of 822 took the foundations of reading. And again, we have low end, 72% passed the test, 58% passed on first attempt. Next, we'll look at student-teacher placement data. I can get my slide to move. We had 1,272 total teacher candidates. 1,023 attended public EPP, 249 private EPPs. 308 total student teachers completed clinical experience in the fall of 20, with 964 completing in the spring. Of those, 17% were placed in a critical needs district. The cooperating teacher is the teacher who serves in the K-12 classroom to work with, mentor, and monitor the student teacher. We had 1,394 cooperating teachers during this period. 113, or 8%, were nationally board certified. 609 of those held bachelor's degrees, 668 master's degrees, 80 held specialist degrees, and 16 of those doctorate degrees. 21 were unknown. For our university supervisors who oversee the complete process for clinical experience, 248 was the total number. 129 of those hold doctorate degrees, 24 specialist degrees, and 95 masters. We conduct surveys for student teachers as well as our cooperating teachers. For student teachers, we sent invitations to the survey to 1,272 student teachers. This was a Likert scale survey with 19 questions used to indicate levels of agreement and or disagreement, plus one open-ended question. 58% responded to the survey. 55% completed the survey. And what is very promising to note here is 93% of those who completed the survey were satisfied with their preparation, and 94% of those would recommend their cooperating teacher to another student teacher, which is significant to note. And for our cooperating teachers, we surveyed or sent out surveys to 1,387. This was a 21-question Likert scale, again, looking at levels of agreement and or disagreement. 60% of those cooperating teachers responded to the survey. 55% completed the survey. And 90% of those said that they were overall satisfied with the level of preparation that the candidates they supervised received. Next, we'll look quickly at some ed leadership data. For this reporting cycle, we had 195 total admitted master's degree candidates, 283 specialist degree candidates. 209 of those attended public EPP, 269 private. On average, these candidates had 8 years of teaching experience. You can look at our trend data here. Again, test waivers did apply to administrators. The school leader licensure assessment was waived during this period. And from this, you can see where we were with the masters in the blue line and the specialists with the red line. Looking at demographics of our leaders, you will note that were admitted, 44% African American, 49% white, females 77%. So our women are standing strong in leadership. And our completers, we had 151 total completers at the master's degree level, 246 specialists, 161 of those attended a public university, and 236 a private. And our trend data to reflect those numbers and the demographics. Again, 44% African American, 52% white, with 76% of those being female. Finally, we'll look at school counselor data. For this reporting period, we had 84 total admitted candidates to master's degree programs, 19 to specialist degree programs, 68 attended a public EPP, 35 a private. On average, these admitted candidates held 5 years of teaching experience. Looking at these numbers should cause us all pause. Our numbers in school counselors continue to decline. We've seen a slight uptick in 2021. But given where we are with mental health concerns, it is problematic to think that we are having fewer candidates enter school counseling programs. As universities assess the degree to which programs are viable, this should be concerning to all of us. A school counselor's master's degree is 60 hours, which is like a double master's if you think about it. So there's a lot that is required of these candidates, and the need is great. So as a state, I hope that we will think about ways in which we can work together to strengthen the supports that we have for school counselor programs and school counselor candidates. And so this is the demographic of those who were admitted. We can see African American at 56%, white 38%, largely females, 93%. And these are our completers. We had 46 total completers, 14 for the master's degree and 14 for the specialist. 51 of those attended a public EPP with 9 at a private. And again, our trend data. And demographics. Finally, we'll look at faculty. This is another component of the report that is required. We had 704 total faculty members at our EPPs statewide. 508 of those were at public EPPs, 196 at private. Of the total, 71% hold doctorate degrees, 25% of these faculty are tenured, 18% on a tenured track. And the last two, I think, are significant for us to know. 46% of the faculty at our universities hold an active K-12 license, whether it be in our state or another state. And 45% of those identified as clinical faculty, which means that they are boots on the ground with their candidates in the schools. And so I think this is important for us to recognize that our EPP faculty are committed to our K-12 schools. And again, the demographic of the EPP faculty, we can see largely white at 71% and mostly female at 72%. Not unlike most of our K-12 settings as well. And so once this report is approved by this commission and onto the state board, you can find it posted on the Educator Prep website. And if you go there now, you can see the past 2 years. So we keep those and you can look, and you have that in your back that we'll discuss later. And if anyone has any questions, I'll be happy to try to entertain those now.
I think there's a lot of good data in there, and I know it takes a while to put all that together, so I do appreciate it.
And I'm so glad you mentioned that, because I do want to give a shout out to Dr. Debbie Stulig, who is phenomenal, and without her, this would not be in the form that it's in. So I'm going to make sure I give her credit. She's amazing, and we are glad to have her at the agency. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good morning. Good morning, Chairman Martin. Good morning, members of the Commission, Dr. Murphy. It's my pleasure as well to be with you all here today to jump into some updates on our educator workforce. And so as Dr. Burson has already gone through our mission and vision, I'm going to jump right into this item's alignment with the State Board of Education strategic plan goals, wherein we do believe that establishing a strong educator workforce is indeed critical to all four. Every school has effective teachers and leaders, which we mentioned previously. We also believe is critical to establishing the firm foundation for achieving some of the student outcomes that we wish to see, such as in goals 1, 2, 3, and 6. So as you all know quite well, within the Office of Teaching and Leading, we work to support our educators across their career continuum from recruitment to retirement. or as I sometimes used to call it, from day one to day done. So with that, today's presentation is really going to focus on these buckets of recruitment, hiring, support, empowering, and ultimately retaining our teachers, even as we believe that these functions are indeed interrelated with efforts to prepare, license, and ultimately support their retirement as well. So to give a brief overview of the Teacher Retention Survey, MTE developed the Teacher Retention Survey based on North Carolina's Working Conditions Survey, Tennessee's Educator Survey, and Mississippi Workforce Initiative. The Teacher Retention Survey launched on April 18, 2022, and closed on July 29, 2022. 6,760 Mississippi teachers responded to the survey, of which 5,856 Mississippi teachers completed the survey out of a total of 31,641 teachers for the 2021-2022 school year. This anonymous survey addressed factors such as recruitment, onboarding, support, community involvement, school leadership, and compensation. And at 71 questions long, it took an estimated 25 minutes to complete. So this indicates to us that teachers were both very committed to sharing their voice and their perspective, and they also found some value in completing the survey. What it also means is that we could talk about these survey results all day long, and we would not get to many of the items that actually require your vote today. So today's information item is just going to focus on the high-level overview of key survey findings and our aligned strategies. That being said, our interim state superintendent, Dr. Benton, has already committed to going back through these results in our MTE Falls office, teacher, principal, and superintendent advisory meetings. So we say that to say today is really just a continuation of a much longer conversation. So as we start digging into results, we'll start at the beginning of the educator continuum with efforts to recruit teachers. So in response to the question, where did you first hear about a position, Mississippi teacher respondents normally noted that they heard about it from a friend or a colleague. Far less influential were things like an online job board or a job fair at 3% each. And so again, for those of you who are mathematically inclined, these are only the high level, the overall biggest areas or the weakest areas in terms of percentages. So that's why they're not going to add up to 100 in this slide or in the future slide. So then when we think about, you think about your hiring process, so getting somebody informed of a job is one thing, getting them to apply is something else entirely. And so in Mississippi, geographic location had the biggest overall influence on a teacher's decision to apply for positions. When we also think about national research that found that the majority of teachers live within about 20 miles of where they graduated high school. These two findings together show that there is a big impact of grow your own efforts as a long-term strategy for our schools and districts. In the short term, though, we were also interested to note the influential role that a conversation with the school leader plays in an individual's decision to apply to a school, even before they ultimately decide to do so. Like job fairs, recruitment events were less influential at 2% overall. So this may have some implications for how our districts and universities choose to allocate their time on that particular effort. So then as we move from recruitment into actual hiring, the hiring process itself, the majority of teachers noted that interviews overwhelmingly were the biggest piece within their hiring process. Far fewer of our teacher respondents were asked to complete things such as teaching a demonstration lesson or an activity using student data, which we do find interesting given that those are some of the key activities that a teacher does engage with on a daily basis. And again, that's for any number of reasons. Administrators may feel pressured to hire quickly in the face of shortages, may be pressed for lack of time, but we did think that it was a point of reflection nonetheless. From hiring, moving into onboarding, teacher respondents really valued clear communications and the perception of a fair interview process. Less so important in an area of importance for them was around the user friendliness or even the efficiency of the HR process, I guess. So then once we've actually hired and moving into new teacher support. We had a few key findings here, one being that as a new teacher, our teacher respondents highlighted having a formally assigned mentor as the greatest influence in their decision to continue teaching. Less so noted the influence of a new teacher seminar at 3%. The self-reflection that we had here, though, was that 19% of teacher respondents indicated that they received no new teacher support. So there is room for growth for us as a state in this area. The next section here, we used questions aligned with North Carolina's Teacher Working Conditions Survey. This section was by far the largest part of this survey, so we're only going to highlight the domains with the strongest level of agreement on this slide. The neat news here is in terms of instructional practices, 91% of teacher respondents agreed that their curriculum is aligned to Mississippi College and Career Readiness standards. This points to the importance of statewide initiatives such as Mississippi Instructional Materials Matter. Likewise, 84% of teacher respondents agreed that they have sufficient access to instructional technology, which can also point to the impact of statewide initiatives such as Mississippi Connect. And even as we continue to support efforts to ensure safe and orderly schools, 75% of teachers did agree that they work in a safe school environment. We had a similar level of strength with community involvement, 85% of teachers agreeing that parents and guardians are provided useful information. There is some variance in the community involvement domain that we'll pull up here just because we also wanted to offer a balanced perspective. What you'll see now are some of the weakest overall areas of agreement within the working conditions section of this survey, while we do want to note that there were no areas of disagreement to reach over 50%. And again, for those of you mathematically inclined and you're running the numbers, that's because there was also a neutral value on this survey. And so a couple key findings for us. One, given our commitment to educator effectiveness, it was important for us to note a weaker area of agreement around teachers believing that their professional learning is aligned with growth areas from observation. Similarly, we saw weaker areas of agreement in terms of student conduct and parent-guardian support at 48% and 40% respectively. And then finally, the weakest overall area of agreement for this was around efforts being used to minimize routine paperwork in school at 37% agreement. So with that, one of the things we also wanted to think about as we move from supporting teachers to really empowering our teacher leaders and empowering our teachers more broadly is this domain around teacher leadership and compensation. So across the board, the first finding that we had was that 64% of teachers did agree that the pay raise last year made them feel valued that was indeed passed during last year's legislative session. Also, 62% of teachers agreed that they are encouraged to participate in school leadership, which in another area of the survey, it was noted that 40% of teachers said that they primarily learn from other teachers. So the lever of school leadership for our teacher leaders is very important on that front. What gets interesting in the teacher leadership compensation domain is that some of our biggest areas of agreement were also interconnected with some of our weakest areas of agreement. So for example, while 64% of teachers felt valued as a result of the pay raise, then 29% agreed that they are currently satisfied with this salary. Likewise, while we saw a higher area of agreement with school leadership, then only 29% of teacher respondents agreed that they have an effective process for group problem solving. We think there's also a research implication here, given John Hattie's effect size study, which found that collective teacher efficacy has one of the strongest overall impacts on student teaching. So this interplay between collective efficacy and problem solving is also a point of reflection for our schools, districts, and states. So as we're moving through, you're likely thinking that a number of these factors all kind of contribute to teacher retention, but we did just want to outright ask the question of teachers, what are some of the biggest factors that influence your decision to either keep or leave teaching? And within that, we found school leadership to have the greatest overall influence on a teacher's decision to keep teaching at 17%. On the other hand, we also found school leadership to have the greatest impact on a teacher's decision to leave teaching at 19%. That was even slightly higher than teacher leadership and compensation as a whole. So within that, we did want to unpack the school leadership results, and so digging down into that domain a bit deeper. And we found some areas of growth and some points of progress for leaders as a whole in terms of exceptions. When we think about areas traditionally associated with rigor, things like using data to increase learning, being held to high standards, there was a lot of agreement across the board from our teacher respondents. When we think about things that are more closely associated with like interpersonal relationships and relationship building, there are some growth areas such as teachers having appropriate autonomy was a weaker area of agreement, and then school administrators building this atmosphere of trust and comfort where teachers feel that they can really bring forth issues to their administration is a weaker area of agreement as well. So within that, there's a lot of information. I'm going to quickly summarize some of our key findings. The first being MDE's efforts to strengthen instruction through strategies such as Mississippi Instructional Materials Matter and Mississippi Connect are indeed having a positive impact. 2, teachers primarily learn from other teachers. 3, the professional growth system should indeed drive professional learning. And 4, student leadership is the biggest factor in teacher retention and attrition statewide. So within that, we will present a few aligned strategies that are primarily aligned with those buckets 2, 3, and 4. So I believe they have some strong educator workforce implications. And so moving into those strategies, one of which several of your universities are partnered with us on is Mississippi Teacher Residency. Through ESSER funds and with the support of the State Board of Education, we have dramatically increased the scale of the Mississippi Teacher Residency from our initial pioneer partners, which you'll see here, to now include the districts and universities that you can see here. So again, many of your universities have been along with us for that entire journey, and we remain grateful for their partnership on that front. The second strategy that we have, given that we did find new teachers really citing the importance of that formally assigned mentor. Through the Mississippi Teacher Residency and our partnership with the Office of Special Education, we've developed a comprehensive, free, one-stop shop for all district, university, and school mentoring and induction needs. So this is our mentoring and induction toolkit, and the QR code will take you to that landing page along with the link. The one area that I particularly like to highlight is the ongoing training and support tab, which includes a series of pre-developed PowerPoint monthly professional learning series that are aligned to both our professional growth system standards and high leverage practices for increasing inclusive education. So there is a research case behind those, and really they're all free. They're ready to go should any university, district, or school decide they want to begin a mentoring and induction program tomorrow. That's the goal of this toolkit, is that they'd have the resources at their fingertips so they would not have to start from scratch. And then the first 2 strategies are really aligned with supporting early career educators and advancing teacher leadership through mentoring. This next resource is an effort to support all of our teachers, given that finding of having some dissonance between growth observations and professional learning opportunities. So we partnered with the Office of Professional Development, who has now updated our MDE PD catalog to reflect the professional growth system standards and domains. This is in an effort to help administrators provide some content-specific professional learning based on the pedagogical trends that they're seeing in their professional growth system observations. And so within that, again, these are free resources that are available by administrator request using the QR code listed here. And then as our final strategy, Dr. Benton has charged us to consider the role that school leadership plays in teacher retention more broadly. And so within that, we are reimagining our orientation to school leadership, or OSL credits, required for conversion to a standard renewable administrator license. So the systems frame that you're seeing here, which is rooted in some of the recent research from the Wallace Foundation, we are currently using this systems frame and are getting feedback from our superintendents and principals advisory councils and kinds of experiences that they would have found very beneficial as an early career practicing administrator. So we look forward to more updates on that front. And with that, I will take any questions and comments. We certainly want to acknowledge all the Synopsis MDE staff who were invaluable in getting the word out about this survey and also helping us to compile some of the results that we've been able to present to you here today. But again, with that, any questions or comments?
Thank you for all of that. Very eye-opening, as a educator in school. I was not along, with slide that should about, the survey that in the educators. And, there's most been happy with, a lot of things that might be unnecessary and would be surprised. I was a little bit surprised about how they, were not with how professionals working in their school. I don't know if there is a system of school districts that maybe are alike, but maybe up to their school districts. But I found it a little bit surprising.
Yeah, I think mostly we didn't get a sense of so much being happy as they weren't as frequently seeing that through line between their professional growth system observations and the professional learning that they're receiving. So I think that is really connected. Yeah, absolutely. And so part of that then was a reflection on our part, which when we looked at our professional development catalog, that's why we were really glad to work with Office of Professional Development to really call out, hey, here are the sessions that are aligned with like domain standard 1, which is all around lesson design and alignment with college and career readiness standards. So that was a point of view for us too, that whenever we can call out the alignment between PGS domains and standards for PD, so let's go ahead and do that on our end as well.
I second that as well. Good job on putting that together. I think we need that data and see, and then good job on pulling other people in, trying to line it and make it go file, not just take a report on the shelf or file on the computer and be done with it. On another office that we can line it up.
Yep. We have received a few different requests. We could look at it on our website as well. It is on, because it was a board item, we did something for the state board too. So that item has been covered on the live stream, and then this recording would then obviously be available as well. So yeah, we can do that.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Dr. Murphy?
Yeah, I'd just say thank you to Dr. Burson and her team, Dr. Van Cleve and her team, and also I can't leave out Mr. DeYoung and Ms. Lipsy, who's now serving as Director of Teacher Licensure, for all the hard work that they put in day to day to serve all the educators on behalf of the children. So thank you, and that concludes our report.
Thanks, sir. Appreciate that. Great job on the report. All right, move on to item number 8. Approve again the Administrative Procedures Act process to revise Mississippi Animated Anna Code 7.4 Part Licensure Guidelines 2012 to repeal the existing version of the special non-renewable license for adjunct teachers and replace it with a proposed special license adjunct teacher licensure pattern. Dr. Murphy.
All right. Thank you so much, Chairman Martin. Well, this particular item that's before you now is simply an effort to aid local school districts in their task of actually recruiting teachers. And particularly, we've gotten requests from local school districts that are trying to recruit professors and individuals from other professions for the most part. And so this would be a pathway to allow them to serve on a temporary basis until they find, I guess, permanent individuals to serve in that capacity. We attempted to implement an iteration of this license a few years ago. You guys voted for an adjunct license. And so what this does is spells out a clear path for those who are occupational, for instance, medical doctors, attorneys, and engineers for the most part, and also professors. And so this is that investment for you.
All right, I appreciate that. All right, we'll entertain a motion for approval. We'll take under advisement. Identify yourself for the
Motion for approval, Elder Taplin.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, we'll need a second.
Second, Rebecca Gray.
Thank you. Any discussion? All right. All those in favor, please vote aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to item number 9, approve begin the Administrative Procedures Act process for Mississippi Analytic Code 74, Part 4, Licensure Guidelines K-12 and State Board of Education Policy Rules 71.2 to ensure consistency regarding certain criteria found therein required for the licensing of school business administrators. Dr. Murphy.
Thank you, Chairman Martin. As you know, as a best practice, we continue to review our policies to ensure, consistency and so on and so forth. And so in reviewing this particular policy, we found a discrepancy in what was listed in the state board policy manual as relates to the degree requirement for licensure and what's actually listed in the educator licensure guidelines document. And so in the guidelines document, we had listed there a baccalaureate degree or higher as one criterion, and in the state board policy manual, it's listed explicitly baccalaureate degree. And so just wanted to clean that up and bring about consistency. And in order to do that, needed to bring it before you to get a recommendation or to make that change.
So just cleaning up the language.
Yes, sir.
All right, we'll have a motion for approval or a motion to take under advisement. This is identify yourself for the record.
William Hamilton, I'll make a motion to approve it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor, vote aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, moving on to item number 10, discussion and or approval of proposed educator preparation program that will lead to a supplemental endorsement in the area of teacher leadership. We've gone over this one for a little while, and this will be through a program Dr. J. Rose is associated with, so you'll have to excuse Dr. J. Rose when we do that part. All right, Dr. Bergson.
Sure. Good morning again. Bringing before you for your consideration and hopefully approval of the RCU's request for a teacher leader endorsement, Code 481. This endorsement, again, to refresh your memory, is based on a year-long professional development of 100 clock hours, and this will include 8 on-site presentations and 4 virtual professional learning opportunities. Eligible candidates for this license will hold a Class AA license. They'll verify a minimum of 3 years of experience as a teacher of record and have all other supporting documents presented to the MDE. The last time we visited this item, you commissioners had a few questions, and the RCU provided some data for us. So just to share that with you, they did a survey on some of the completers of this program. They had a population of 55 respondents. Of those, 90% that responded held master's degrees or above during the time that they were completing this program. 50% of those were instructional coaches that were completing the Coach U, and over 50% of the ones that completed were engaged in or employed as instructional coaches or administrators. I think that was the question. And so, again, we bring this to you for recommendation of approval.
Thank you for that. I know that's been a long process, and we did have some questions. I appreciate you going out and finding those answers for us. All right. Any other discussion? Please identify yourself for the record. I think you knocked it out.
All right, good.
We'll entertain a motion for approval or a motion to take under advisement. Please identify yourself for the record.
Mary Jo Taylor.
Thank you. Another second.
William Hamilton, second.
Thanks, sir. All those in favor, vote aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you, ma'am. All right, moving on to item number 11, approval of educator preparation program recommended by the Division of Education Preparation. Person.
Sure, thank you. The first item that we're going to bring to you is what the information item was on the EPP annual report in accordance with Mississippi Code 37-10129. We are seeking your approval of this annual educator preparation provider teacher preparation performance report. Do you want me to go? The second item that we will request your approval on is full state approval for Delta State University based on the MDE's program reviews and the Council Accreditation of Educator Preparation CAPE National Accreditation Decision. In your backup material, you received information on Delta State's process. We're pleased to say that Delta State was one of 33 institutions in 2022 to receive the Frank Murray Leadership Recognition for Continuous Improvement. This recognition is granted to EPTs who complete the accreditation process with no areas for improvement or stipulations. And for the 2022 year, 32 EPTs across the country were recognized. This represented about a third of those reviewed, and so we are proud of Delta State's progress and continuous improvement efforts in preparing teachers and leaders. And in your backup material, you noted that during our program reviews that we conducted with Delta State, feedback was sent to the universities in September of 20, and the university replied to us by January of 21. In initial reviews, several of the programs were met with conditions. Delta State met those conditions for the final review, with all programs needing full state approval. Delta State's CAPE accreditation is through the spring of 2029. However, they will undergo full state approval again with program reviews with the MDE during the 24-25 academic year. Again, the final will be in 2029, who will come back to you with their full 7-year cycle. And so we ask your approval of Delta State University.
Sounds like they're doing a good job. All right, any further discussion on that one? All right, I entertain a motion for approval, a motion taken under advisement. Please say so for the record.
William Hamilton, I make a motion for approval.
Thanks, sir. Second?
Second, Teresa J. Rowe.
Thank you. All those in favor, please vote aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, moving on to item number 12, approval again the Administrative Process Act process to revise Mississippi Code 73-14.6, State Board Policy, Chapter 14, 14.6, related to license commission, disciplinary procedures, hearings, and appeals. Mr. DeYoung.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Martin, members of the commission. I'm Murphy. I'd like to ask the vote that the commission consider through the rule, just the first one, about the rule 26. So a little background on this is the Division of Educator Misconduct Evaluations. In reviewing the current rule as it is now, revealed the presence of certain language that is no longer applicable, practical, and or is erroneous. The Office of Educator Misconduct is seeking approval to amend Rule 14.6 to include the following revisions as approved and recommended by the Commission on Teacher and Administrator Education, Certification, and Licensure and Development. The first item we're proposing is striking certain language from Rule 14.6.21b and D, correcting citations of language in Rule 14.6.2, adding language to Rule 14.6.3a to include alcohol testing, striking erroneous language relative to appeals under Rule 14.6.4, subsection 5, and lastly, other minor edits to make language more accurate. And the backup material has all of those proposals outlined, and I'd be happy to entertain any questions that you have to need a summary of the reasoning for the proposals.
And everybody got those materials earlier, so we'll have an opportunity to read through those. Any questions? All right, if there's no questions regarding that, we'll entertain a motion for approval or a motion to take under advisement by yourself for the win.
Motion for approval, Elder Kaplan.
Thank you. Need a second?
Second, Rebecca.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All right, we'll move to vote. All those in favor? Vote aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, moving on to item number 13, approval of ratification of agreed orders and voluntary surrenders. Yeah.
Yes, so the Office of Educator Misconduct would like to present one agreed order for the Commission to consider for ratification. The first matter is Educator License Number 217279, Educator Hazel Fran Jones. Whereas on or about May 15th, 2022, the Office of Educator Misconduct of the Mississippi Department of Education received an Appendix C report submitted by the Lee County School District that alleged the respondent, Hazel Fran Jones, had committed a violation of Standard 4 of the Mississippi Educator Code of Ethics and Standards of Conduct, resulting in termination of employment, such action constituting grounds for suspension or revocation of the respondent's educator license in accordance with Mississippi Code annotated 373212F and Mississippi Code annotated 373213A. Whereas respondent Hazel Fran Jones has consented to enter an agreed order revoking the educator's license 217279 without the necessity of a disciplinary hearing before the Commission. The respondent admits that during the 2021-2022 school year, while employed as an educator with Lee County School District, violated Standard 4 of the Mississippi Educator Code of Ethics and Standards of Conduct, including but not limited to Standard 4.2F by soliciting, encouraging, participating, or initiating inappropriate written, verbal, electronic, physical, or romantic relationship with students. Excuse me. Upon execution of this agreed order, respondent's educator license to teach in the state of Mississippi and all privileges belonging to said license shall immediately be suspended for a period of 1 calendar year from the date of ratification by the Commission of Teacher and Administrator Education, Certification, and Licensure and Development. That it's further agreed the respondent shall, at her own expense, complete a seminar or coursework equivalent to no less than 3 course hours related to proper and ethical student-educator relationships from a reputable source, satisfactory to the Commission prior to the conclusion of the revocation period stated prior. The respondent shall submit proof of attendance and successful completion of the course of study to the Office of Educator Misconduct prior to or contemporaneous with any petition for reinstatement. The respondent may petition for reinstatement of an educator's license following conclusion of the revocation period, if eligible. Such reinstatement petition shall be in accordance with Mississippi Code annotated 373214A and the rules of procedure governing disciplinary proceedings of the Commission. The Commission, in its discretion, may reinstate the respondent's educator license only by a majority of all members of the Commission present at the meeting called for that purpose upon the respondent's satisfactory showing of evidence of rehabilitation. So the Office of Educator Misconduct would respectfully request that the Commission consider ratification of this agreed order.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. So we just have the one agreed upon this morning. We'll entertain a motion for approval. Please identify yourself for the record.
Motion to approve, Ms. Taylor.
Thank you. Just a second.
Second, Rebecca Gray.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 14, our 2023 dates for regular meetings of the Licensure Commission. I have those dates listed in there. As we saw from this morning, we do appreciate everybody making the time. We do have to have enough members present to be able to hold the meetings. Appreciate everybody making the time and input. So mark these dates. If this works for everybody, we're looking at January 6th, March 3rd, 5th, July 7th, September 8th, November 3rd. So we look at those dates. Entertain a motion for approval. Please identify yourself for the record.
Motion to approve, Rebecca Gray.
Thank you. Need a second?
Second, Teresa J. Rowe.
Thank you. Any discussion? All right, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor, vote aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, appreciate everybody being here today, making the time. It's a long morning, so we appreciate you doing that and making the effort. It's a lot of good stuff. Appreciate all the reports and the work that was done to make it possible today. So with that, we'll move to item 15, adjournment. And motion for approval.
Motion to approve, Rebecca Gray.
Thank you. Second.
Second, Teresa Poole.
Thank you. All those in favor, aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Appreciate y'all. Meeting adjourns at 11:09 a.m. Thank you. Y'all have a great day.
Thanks to y'all.